The alarm blared through the ship as Commander Leo Wilson stumbled from his bunk, barely conscious and utterly confused. Just 3 hours into his sleep cycle aboard the ISS Horizon, humanity's first interstellar medical research vessel, emergency lights now painted the walls a harsh red. The ship lurched violently, sending him sprawling across the cold metal floor. Warning: collision with unidentified object. Hull breach detected in Research Bay 3. All personnel report to emergency stations, the ship's AI announced with unnerving calmness. Leo scrambled to his feet, yanking on his uniform jumpsuit. As the ship's medical officer, his emergency station was the medbay, which was directly adjacent to Research Bay 3.
Perfect.
Computer, status report. Leo shouted, grabbing his emergency medical kit as he bolted into the corridor. Hull breach contained. Unknown biological material detected in Research Bay 3. Quarantine protocols activated. Leo's heart pounded as he raced through the corridors. The Horizon was humanity's most ambitious project, a research vessel sent to explore the edges of the Proxima Centauri system. They weren't supposed to encounter alien life for at least another 2 weeks when they reached the system's habitable zone. The medbay doors hissed open as Leo approached. Inside, chaos reigned. 3 crew members were already on beds, their skin covered in angry purple welts. Chief Engineer Marcos was unconscious, his breathing shallow. Science Officer Patel was awake, but clearly in agony. And Communications Specialist Rivera was trembling uncontrollably, her eyes wide with panic. What happened? Leo demanded, rushing to check Marcos's vitals. Captain James appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Something hit us. When it breached the hull, it released some kind of biological agent. These 3 were in Research Bay 3 when it happened. Leo activated the medical scanner, running it over Marcos's body. The results made his blood run cold. They've been exposed to an unknown toxin. It's attacking their nervous systems. I've never seen anything like this. Can you treat it? James asked. Before Leo could answer, the ship shuddered again. The lights flickered, and when they stabilized, the room was bathed in an eerie blue glow. A loud humming filled the air as a portion of the wall appeared to dissolve, forming a shimmering portal. Through this impossible opening stepped a being unlike anything Leo had ever seen. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, the creature had iridescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer with its own internal light. Its 4 arms ended in 7-finger hands, and its large head housed 3 massive black eyes that blinked independently of each other. It wore what appeared to be a complex white garment covered in strange symbols and devices. The security team raised their weapons, but Captain James held up his hand. "Hold fire." The alien spoke, its voice resonating not through the air, but directly in their minds. "I am Doctor Zivex of the Galactic Medical Corps. Your ship intercepted one of our medical transport pods. I have come to assist." Leo stepped forward, finding his voice. "You're a doctor?" The alien Doctor Zivex nodded, a very human gesture that somehow made the situation even more surreal. "I specialize in xenotoxicology. The substance your crew was exposed to is a rare compound we were transporting to our research facility. It is extremely dangerous to carbon-based life forms, such as yourselves." Leo glanced at his suffering crewmates. "Can you help them?" Zivex moved to the bedsides with surprising grace, examining each patient with devices that emerged from its garment. The toxin attacks neural pathways, causing progressive system failure. It is often lethal to species with your physiology. Captain James paled. "Lethal? Is there an antidote?" "There is a neutralizing agent," Zivex confirmed. "I can synthesize it, but I will require certain compounds for my pod, which is now embedded in your ship's hull." Leo nodded. "I'll go with you. My medical knowledge might help." The alien doctor hesitated, then agreed. "Time is critical. The toxin progresses rapidly." As they prepared to leave, Marcos suddenly convulsed on the bed, his back arching in pain before he collapsed, unconscious again. "His system is shutting down," Zivex stated, the telepathic voice somehow conveying urgency. "We must hurry." Leo followed the alien through the corridors toward the research bay. Crew members flattened themselves against walls, staring in shock at the blue being striding purposefully through their ship. "So, this toxin," Leo asked as they walked, "what exactly does it do?" "It disrupts neural transmissions by binding to receptor sites in your nervous system," Zivex explained. "It causes intense pain, paralysis, and eventually respiratory failure. Your species is particularly vulnerable due to your specific brain chemistry." They reached Research Bay 3, where the hull breach had been sealed with emergency foam. Embedded in the wall was a sleek, egg-shaped pod about the size of a small car. It glowed with the same blue luminescence as Doctor Zivex. "My transport unit," the alien said, approaching it. The impact damaged the containment field, releasing the toxin sample. As Zivex touched the pod, a panel slid open. Inside were hundreds of vials containing liquids of various colors. The alien selected several and handed them to Leo. "These are components of the neutralizing agent. We must return to your medical facility to synthesize the antidote." Back in medbay, the situation had deteriorated. All 3 patients were now unconscious, their skin darkening to a deep purple where the welts had been. Zivex worked quickly, combining the compounds in precise measurements. Leo assisted, fascinated by the aliens' techniques despite the dire circumstances. The resulting mixture was a viscous, bright orange liquid that emitted a strong, spicy odor. "This will neutralize the toxin," Zivex explained, filling a syringe with the orange substance. "However, I must warn you the neutralizing process is extremely painful. Your crew members will experience intense burning sensations throughout their bodies as the antidote works." Leo nodded grimly. "As long as it saves them." Zivex administered the antidote to each patient, injecting it directly into their bloodstreams. Almost immediately, their bodies tensed, and even unconscious, their faces contorted in pain. "The burning sensation is the neutralizing agent binding to the toxin molecules," Zivex explained. "It is unfortunate, but necessary." As they monitored the patients, Captain James pulled Leo aside. "Can we trust this being? How do we know this isn't making things worse?" Leo glanced at the alien doctor, who was adjusting something on Patel's fore. "We don't have much choice, Captain. And if it wanted to harm us, why come aboard to help?" Suddenly, Rivera gasped and sat up, her eyes wide. She was the least affected of the 3, having been farthest from the breach when it occurred. She looked around wildly until her gaze settled on Zivex. What is that?" she whispered, pointing at the alien. "Dr. Zivex," Leo explained, moving to her side. "He's helping us. You were exposed to a toxic substance when the hull was breached." Rivera winced, clutching her stomach. "It burns, like my insides are on fire." "That's the antidote working," Leo assured her. "It'll pass." She gritted her teeth, then looked up at Zivex. "Thank you for helping us." The alien inclined its head. "It was my duty. The toxin was under my care." As Rivera's condition stabilized, Patel began to stir as well. Only Marcos remained unconscious, his breathing still labored. "Your engineer was closest to the breach," Zivex observed. "He received the highest dose. His recovery will take longer." Leo checked Marcos's vitals. "His readings are improving, but slowly." Zivex reached into his garment and removed another vial, this one containing a deep red liquid. "This is a more concentrated form of the antidote. It may help, but the risk is greater." "What risk?" Leo asked. "The burning sensation will be intensified. Many species find it unbearable. Some have died from the shock alone." Leo hesitated, looking at his friend and colleague fighting for his life. Can you dilute it? Find a middle ground? Zivex considered this. Perhaps. Let me prepare a modified version. While the alien doctor worked, Leo tended to Rivera and Patel, who were recovering rapidly now. The purple welts were fading, and their vitals were returning to normal. That thing, Patel whispered, glancing at Zivex. It's really an alien doctor? Leo nodded. From something called the Galactic Medical Corps. Apparently, we hit one of their transport pods. So there's a whole civilization out there with advanced medical knowledge, Patel mused, scientists that he was already thinking of the implications despite nearly dying. This changes everything. An hour later, Marcos finally regained consciousness after receiving the modified antidote. His recovery was slower, and he remained weak, but the immediate danger had passed. Dr. Zivex addressed the gathered crew. Your people will recover fully within approximately 72 of your hours. There should be no permanent damage to their neural systems. Captain James stepped forward. We owe you our gratitude, Doctor. Without your help, we would have lost 3 valuable crew members. Zivex made a gesture with his upper hand, something like a bow. I must now return to my ship and report this incident. The loss of the toxin sample is a serious matter. Wait, Leo interjected. You're part of a medical corps? Are there others like you nearby? Our main research vessel is in orbit around the 4th planet in this system, Zivex replied. We have been studying this region for some time. Captain James looked stunned. We had no idea there was advanced life in this system. Our scans showed nothing. Our technology allows us to remain undetected when necessary, Zivex explained. We observe emerging spacefaring species to determine when official contact would be appropriate. And now? Leo asked. Now circumstances have forced an earlier introduction than planned. Zivex turned to Captain James. My superiors will want to speak with your leaders. This encounter changes the protocol. Before James could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. Captain, we have an incoming transmission on an unknown frequency. It appears to be directed specifically at us. James exchanged glances with Zivex. Put it through. The main screen in the medbay activated, revealing another alien similar to Zivex but with darker blue skin and elaborate markings on its face. It wore what appeared to be a more ornate version of Zivex's garment. This is Chief Medical Officer Nalara of the Galactic Medical Corps vessel Helix. I see you have met our Doctor Zivex. Captain of the human vessel, please respond. James stepped forward. This is Captain Ellis James of the ISS Horizon, an Earth research vessel. We apologize for the collision with your transport pod. The alien Nalara blinked her 3 eyes in sequence. The collision was unfortunate, but has precipitated what was inevitable. Your species has reached a technological level that warrants contact. We would like to invite a delegation from your vessel to visit our ship for formal introductions. James looked uncertain. That's a significant step. I should consult with Earth Command. Of course, Nalara agreed. However, there is another matter. The toxin sample that was released in your ship was one of only 3 known samples in the galaxy. It is extremely valuable for our research into neural diseases. We would like to retrieve any residual particles from your vessel. Leo stepped forward. Chief Medical Officer Nalara, I'm Commander Leo Wilson, Medical Officer of the Horizon. Dr. Zivex mentioned this toxin is lethal to our species. Is it safe for us to attempt collection? Nalara's gaze shifted to Leo. With proper protection and guidance from our team, yes. Dr. Zivex can oversee the process. Captain James nodded. We'll cooperate fully. And regarding your invitation, I'll communicate with Earth Command immediately. After the transmission ended, the crew burst into excited conversation. First contact with an advanced alien civilization, and they were doctors of all things. The implications were enormous. Leo turned to Zivex. I'd like to help with the toxin retrieval. My medical background might be useful. Zivex seemed to consider this. Very well. We will need specialized equipment from my pod. The residual toxin particles will have settled on surfaces throughout the damaged bay. They returned to Research Bay 3, where Zivex extracted several devices from the pod. One looked like a handheld vacuum, another like a transparent container with floating lights inside it. This will collect the toxin particles safely, Zivex explained, handing the vacuum-like device to Leo. It creates a localized energy field that attracts the specific molecular structure of the toxin. As they worked, Leo couldn't help but ask questions. So, the Galactic Medical Corps, what exactly do you do? We are healers, researchers, and occasionally peacekeepers, Zivex replied. We study diseases and treatments across thousands of species. We intervene in medical emergencies and pandemics. We monitor developing civilizations for potential biological threats. And that's why you are in our system? To monitor us. Zivex paused in his work.
Partially.
We detected unusual viral mutations on your planet that concerned us. Nothing immediately threatening, but worthy of observation. Leo absorbed this information. So we're being watched by space doctors. That's comforting, I guess. We do not interfere unless absolutely necessary, Zivex assured him. Today was an exception due to the accident. As they continued collecting the toxin particles, Leo noticed a small sample container on Zivex's equipment belt. It contained a tiny amount of the original toxin, glowing with an ominous purple light. Is that safe to carry around? Leo asked, pointing at the container. It is securely contained, Zivex assured him. This sample will help us understand how the toxin interacted with your specific physiology. Leo hesitated, then asked the question that had been nagging at him. This toxin, what do you use it for? Why transport something so dangerous? Zivex's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. It has properties that, when properly modified, can treat certain neural conditions. In its raw form, it is indeed deadly to many species, but its molecular structure holds the key to curing diseases that afflict billions across the galaxy. So it's medicine and poison in one, Leo mused. Many effective treatments began as toxins, Zivex noted. Your own medical history demonstrates this principle. They finished collecting the residual toxin and sealed it in the containment unit. As they prepared to return to the med bay, the ship suddenly shuddered violently. Warning: unknown energy signature detected. Ship systems experiencing interference, the AI announced. Leo and Zivex rushed back to the med bay, where chaos had erupted once again. The screens were flickering with static, and outside the viewport, a large ship had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. It was unlike Zivex's sleek medical vessel, angular, dark, and bristling with what looked unmistakably like weapons. That is not a medical corps vessel, Zivex stated, alarm evident in his telepathic voice. Captain James was attempting to establish communications when the screen cleared to reveal another alien species, this one with gray, leathery skin and multiple eyes arranged in a circular pattern around a central mouth. When it spoke, the ship's translation system rendered its harsh, clicking language into English. Human vessel. You have something that belongs to us. The toxin sample you collected is stolen property. Surrender it immediately, or we will be forced to take action. Zivex stepped forward. Craxian pirates. They must have tracked my pod. Captain James glanced at the alien doctor. Friends of yours? Quite the opposite, Zivex replied. The Craxians are interstellar criminals. They seek rare biological compounds for illegal weapons development. The Craxian on screen noticed Zivex. Ah, a medical corps doctor. How convenient. Surrender the toxin and the doctor, humans, and we will leave your ship intact. James straightened his uniform. We're not surrendering anyone or anything. This toxin is dangerous and belongs with the medical corps. The Craxian's mouth parts twisted in what might have been a smile. Your choice, human. You have 10 minutes to reconsider before we open fire. The transmission cut off, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Can your people help us? James asked Zivex. Contact your ship? Zivex touched a device on his garment. The Craxians are blocking communications. The Helix will have detected their arrival, but it will take time for them to reach us. So we're on our own, Leo concluded. What do these pirates want with the toxin? The neural toxin can be weaponized, Zivex explained. In aerosol form, it could incapacitate or kill the population of an entire city. The Galactic Council banned such applications centuries ago, but the Craxians operate outside Council space. Leo looked at the containment unit they had just filled with the collected toxin particles. So we're holding a potential weapon of mass destruction. One that saved the lives of our crew, Captain James reminded him. But yes, it seems we're caught in a galactic conflict we didn't know existed until today. Chief Engineer Marcos, still recovering on his bed, spoke up weakly. Captain, could we use the toxin against them? A small amount in their life support systems. Zivex's 3 eyes widened. That would be a violation of galactic medical ethics. And we don't know their physiology, Leo added. It might not affect them the same way. It would affect them, Zivex stated. The Craxians have a neural structure surprisingly similar to yours. But I cannot condone using a medical compound as a weapon, even against pirates. James nodded. We need another solution. How much time until your ship arrives? The Helix was in orbit around the 4th planet. At maximum speed, perhaps 30 of your minutes. We don't have 30 minutes, James said grimly. Suggestions, people? Leo studied the toxin container, an idea forming. What if we made them think we were destroying the toxin? Would they still attack if they believed the sample was lost? Zivex considered this. The Craxians are primarily motivated by profit. If they believed the toxin was destroyed, they might withdraw rather than risk confrontation with the Corps for no gain. How do we convince them? James asked. We could prepare a fake demonstration, Leo suggested. Show them we're ready to destroy it if they don't back off. They quickly formulated a plan. Using chemicals from the med bay, they created a mixture that resembled the purple glow of the toxin. The real sample was secured in a hidden compartment in Zivex's medical equipment. When the Craxians re-established contact, Captain James stood ready. We've discussed your demands, James announced. We've decided that if this toxin is as dangerous as everyone says, no one should have it. He nodded to Leo, who held up a vial of the fake toxin next to an incinerator unit. This is a medical research vessel. We'd rather destroy this sample than let it become a weapon. The Craxian commander's eyes widened. You would not dare. That sample is worth more than your entire vessel. Watch me, Leo replied, moving the vial closer to the incinerator. Wait, the Craxian shouted. Perhaps we can negotiate. The toxin has legitimate medical applications. We represent interests that would use it for research only. Zivex stepped into view. The Craxians have never shown interest in medical research. They are known weaponers throughout the quadrant. The Craxian hissed in recognition. The Corps has no exclusive claim to biological compounds found in neutral space. This was not found in neutral space, Zivex countered. It was being transported under Corps protection. While they argued, the ship's sensors detected movement. Captain, the tactical officer whispered, they're charging weapons. James nodded to Leo, who moved to drop the vial into the incinerator. Stop, the Craxian commander shouted. Destroy that sample, and we will obliterate your vessel. If you fire on us, James replied calmly, our emergency protocols will automatically incinerate the toxin anyway. You lose either way. A tense silence followed as the Craxian considered this. Finally, it spoke again. Perhaps we have been hasty. We will withdraw our claim to the toxin this time. A wise decision, Zivex stated, especially since a core medical cruiser is now entering the system. They would not look kindly on an attack against a species under observation. The Craxian's mouthparts twisted in what might have been frustration. Without another word, the transmission ended. Moments later, their ship moved away, eventually disappearing into the darkness of space. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief. Leo carefully set down the fake vial. That was close. Indeed, Zivex agreed, retrieving the real toxin sample from its hiding place. The Craxians will likely report this encounter to others in their network. Your species has now been noticed by more than just the medical corps. Captain James frowned. Is that a problem? It means your isolation in this region of space is effectively over, Zivex explained. The Corps had planned a more gradual introduction to the galactic community. Now, that timeline has been accelerated. Leo helped Marcos back to his bed. The engineer was recovering well, but still weak. So, what happens now? As if in answer, the ship's AI announced, Captain, we're receiving another transmission. It's the Galactic Medical Corps vessel Helix. The main screen activated, showing Chief Medical Officer Nalara again. Captain James, we detected a Craxian vessel near your position. Are you unharmed? James stepped forward. We're fine, thanks to some quick thinking and Dr. Zivex's help. The Craxians were after your toxin sample. Nalara's expression shifted slightly. This is troubling news. The Craxians shouldn't have known about the transport. There may be a security breach in our logistics network. She paused, then continued. In light of these developments, I am authorized to extend an immediate invitation to your vessel. Would you and your medical officer be willing to dock with the Helix for discussions about your species' formal introduction to the galactic community? James looked at Leo, who nodded eagerly. We would be honored, the captain replied. Excellent. Dr. Zivex will guide you to our position. We will prepare for your arrival. The transmission ended. The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity as the Horizon changed course to rendezvous with the Helix. Leo spent the time checking on the recovering patients and preparing a medical briefing about human physiology for the Corps doctors. Finally, the moment arrived. The Horizon approached the Helix, which was revealed to be an enormous vessel shaped like a flattened disc with extending arms that resembled a medical cross. It dwarfed the human ship, making the Horizon look like a tiny shuttle in comparison. Leo, Captain James, and Science Officer Patel now recovered enough to join them, prepared to board the alien vessel. Dr. Zivex would accompany them as their guide. Remember, James told his officers, we're representing all of humanity now. This is a historic moment. They entered the airlock connecting the two ships. The door slid open to reveal a vast, brightly lit chamber. A delegation of aliens waited, most resembling Zivex, but with variations in skin tone and markings. Chief Medical Officer Nalara stood at their head. Welcome aboard the Helix, she greeted them telepathically. You are the first humans to visit a Corps vessel. The delegation moved forward, leading them deeper into the ship. Leo was awestruck by the advanced technology surrounding them. Displays showed information in dozens of unknown languages, and beings of various species moved purposefully through the corridors. They were led to a large conference room where a banquet of sorts had been prepared. Various foods and drinks were arranged on a central table. We have analyzed your nutritional requirements and prepared compatible refreshments, Nalara explained. Please, be comfortable. As they seated themselves, Zivex placed the recovered toxin sample on a special pedestal. The sample has been recovered with minimal loss, he reported formally. Nalara acknowledged this with a gesture. Excellent work, Doctor. The research division will be pleased. Leo couldn't help staring at the toxin container. I still can't believe something so deadly could be medically valuable. Many substances exist on the boundary between healing and harm, Nalara observed. The difference often lies merely in dosage and application. As they discussed the events of the past day, servers brought various dishes to the table. One alien placed a small bowl of clear liquid in front of Leo. It had a slight purple tinge and emitted a faint glow. "This is a diluted derivative of the toxin," Zivex explained, noticing Leo's alarmed expression. "Completely safe in this form. It is considered a delicacy among species with compatible biology. It produces a mild neural stimulation similar to your caffeine, but more refined in its effects." Leo stared at the bowl skeptically. "You drink the toxin?" "In this highly processed form, yes," Nalara confirmed. "It bears little resemblance to the raw compound that affected your crew. This version stimulates cognitive function and enhanced sensory perception temporarily." Captain James leaned forward, curious. "And it's safe for humans?" "We have analyzed your physiology," Nalara assured him. "This formulation is compatible with your neural structure. The processing removes the harmful components while preserving the beneficial neural stimulants." Leo picked up the bowl, examining the slightly glowing liquid. It smelled faintly of citrus and something else he couldn't identify. Every instinct told him drinking something related to the toxin that had nearly killed his crewmates was insane, yet here were advanced alien doctors assuring him it was safe. "When in Rome," he muttered, bringing the bowl to his lips. He took a small sip. The liquid had almost no taste at first, then a subtle warmth spread through his mouth, followed by a tingling sensation that traveled down his throat and radiated throughout his body. Within seconds, his senses seemed to sharpen. Colors became more vivid, sounds more distinct. "Wow," he breathed, blinking as the room seemed to come into clearer focus. "That's intense." Zivex nodded. "The effect is temporary. Many find it pleasant and clarifying. It's like everything is suddenly in high definition," Leo marveled. He took another small sip, and the sensation intensified. This time, a slight heat built in his throat. "Interesting," he said, clearing his throat. "It gets spicier with each sip." "That is the neural activation cascade," Nalara explained. "Your nervous system is responding to the stimulant properties." The heat in Leo's throat increased, spreading to his chest. It wasn't unpleasant, exactly, but it was growing more intense. "Is it supposed to burn this much?" Zivex and Nalara exchanged glances. "Burn?" Zivex asked. "It should produce a warming sensation, but not burning." The heat was definitely intensifying now, becoming uncomfortable. Leo set down the bowl, reaching for what he hoped was water in another container. "Yeah, it's getting pretty hot in there." Nalara quickly produced a scanning device, passing it over Leo. Her 3 eyes widened. "Interesting. Your species has an unusual reaction to the compound. It's triggering a mild inflammatory response in your digestive tract." "Mild," Leo coughed, the burning sensation now quite uncomfortable. "It feels like I swallowed a hot coal." Zivex quickly prepared another liquid in a small cup. "This will neutralize the reaction." It appears humans have a unique sensitivity to this particular molecular configuration. Leo gratefully drank the offered remedy, which immediately began cooling the burn. "That's better," he sighed with relief. "I apologize for the discomfort," Nalara said. "We will note this reaction in our database for future reference." "It's fine," Leo assured her, his scientific curiosity overriding his discomfort. "That's how we learn, right? Through experimentation." Captain James, who had wisely waited to see Leo's reaction before trying his own portion, pushed his bowl away slightly. "Perhaps we should stick to less exciting refreshments for now." This broke the tension, and the aliens made what Leo recognized as gestures of amusement. "A wise precaution," Nalara agreed. "We have other options that should be more compatible with your physiology." As the servers removed the problematic beverage and brought alternatives, Leo found himself oddly missing the intense sensation. Despite the discomfort, there had been something exhilarating about the experience. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "on Earth, many cultures enjoy foods that cause similar burning sensations. We call them spicy foods, and they're quite popular." Zivex tilted his head. "You deliberately consume substances that cause pain?" "Not pain exactly," Leo clarified. "More like intensity. It's a controlled kind of discomfort that many find pleasurable. We add compounds called capsaicinoids to food specifically to create that sensation." "Fascinating," Nalara remarked. "Your species deliberately seeks neural stimulation through mild irritants. This might explain your reaction to our beverage. You may have enhanced sensitivity to certain neural stimulants as an evolutionary adaptation." The conversation continued, moving from culinary preferences to broader discussions about human physiology and Earth's place in the galactic community. Throughout the meal, Leo found himself repeatedly thinking about that burning sensation. There had been something oddly familiar and comforting about it, despite its intensity. Several hours later, as the formal discussions concluded, Nalara presented the human delegation with gifts data crystals containing basic information about the Galactic Medical Corps and the wider galactic community that Earth would soon be joining. "This will help your leaders prepare for formal contact," she explained. "The Corps will send an official delegation to Earth within one of your months." As they prepared to return to the Horizon, Leo approached Zivex privately. "Doctor, that beverage, the diluted toxin derivative. Would it be possible to get a small sample to study?" "From a medical perspective, of course." Zivex seemed hesitant. "It caused you discomfort." "Yes, but it also produced fascinating neural effects," Leo explained. "The heightened awareness alone could have medical applications for humans. And the burning sensation, well, as I mentioned, many humans actually enjoy that kind of thing." Zivex considered this, then nodded. "I will prepare a small sample with modified parameters that should reduce the inflammatory response. For research purposes only." "Of course," Leo agreed. Before they departed, Zivex presented Leo with a small container of modified neural stimulant, along with detailed notes on its composition and suggestions for further dilution if needed. Back aboard the Horizon, Captain James called a meeting to brief the entire crew on their historic encounter. The mood was celebratory. Humanity had made first contact, and it had gone remarkably well, despite the complications with the Toxin and the Craxian pirates. Later, in his quarters, Leo carefully examined the sample Zivex had given him. He prepared a minute amount, diluting it further as recommended. Even with these precautions, when he took a tiny sip, the familiar burn returned, milder, but still present. His senses sharpened just as before, colors becoming more vibrant, sounds more distinct. The burning spread through his chest, but it was manageable now, almost pleasant in its intensity. It reminded him of the extra spicy salsa his grandfather used to make back in New Mexico. Inspired, Leo went to the ship's galley and rummaged through the condiment supplies until he found a bottle of hot sauce, a prized possession of Communications Officer Chen, who had smuggled it aboard despite weight restrictions. Leo added a small drop to the remaining diluted toxin derivative. He took another sip. The combination was extraordinary. The neural-enhancing properties of the alien stimulant merged with the familiar capsaicin burn of the hot sauce created a sensation unlike anything he'd experienced before. His mind felt crystal clear, his senses heightened, while a pleasant fire spread through his chest. The next morning, during his regular medical check of the previously affected crew members, Leo shared his discovery with Marcos, who was now fully recovered. "You did what?" Marcos exclaimed when Leo explained his experiment. "You added hot sauce to an alien neural toxin? Are you insane?" Leo shrugged. "Zivex modified it to be safe. The hot sauce actually improved it, balanced the effects somehow." Marcos shook his head in disbelief. "Only you would nearly die from an alien toxin, then decide to spice it up and drink it again." Before Leo could respond, the comm system activated. Commander Wilson, please report to the bridge. We're receiving a transmission from the Helix. When Leo arrived on the bridge, Nalara's image filled the main screen. Commander Wilson, our analysis team has completed their study of your reaction to our neural stimulant. We believe we've identified why it caused such an intense response in your system. I've been conducting some experiments of my own, Leo admitted. Adding a terrestrial neural stimulant capsaicin actually seems to moderate the effects. Nalara's 3 eyes blinked in rapid succession. You modified our compound? Without supervision. Just a small adjustment, Leo explained, suddenly realizing how reckless that might seem to an advanced medical professional. It actually works quite well. There was a long pause before Nalara responded. Commander Wilson, such experimentation is unusual. However, it aligns with something we've discovered. Your species appears to have evolved a unique relationship with certain neural irritants. This could be valuable information for our xenobiology department. Captain James stepped forward. Dr. Nalara, I assure you that Commander Wilson's actions, while unorthodox, were taken with scientific curiosity in mind. Of course, Nalara acknowledged. In fact, we would be interested in samples of this hot sauce compound for further study. It may have applications we hadn't considered. And so it came to pass that humanity's first official trade with an alien civilization was not technology or cultural artifacts, but a case of Tabasco sauce in exchange for modified neural stimulants. The resulting collaboration led to breakthroughs in pain management and neural enhancement therapies that benefited both species. 6 months later, at the formal reception welcoming the Galactic Medical Corps delegation to Earth, Leo found himself standing beside Doctor Zivex, watching as human and alien officials signed the historic First Contact Protocols. You know, Leo remarked, sipping from a glass containing the now perfected blend of neural stimulant and earth spices, when you first told me that toxin was lethal, I never imagined it would lead to all this. Zivex's telepathic voice carried a hint of what Leo had learned to recognize as amusement. In my centuries of medical practice across dozens of star systems, I have never encountered a species that responded to a toxic exposure by asking for flavor enhancements. Leo laughed. That's humanity for you. We've spent our entire evolutionary history turning dangers into delicacies. Chili peppers evolved capsaicin to stop mammals from eating them. We made hot sauce. Certain molds produced toxins. We created blue cheese. Perhaps that adaptability is why your species will thrive in the galactic community, Zivex observed. Where others see danger, you see possibility. As the ceremonies concluded, Leo raised his glass in a toast to finding the right hot sauce for whatever the universe throws at us next. Zivex raised his own glass in response, a gesture he had learned from his time among humans. Indeed, though perhaps with slightly more caution in the future. Leo grinned. Where's the fun in that?